Okay, guys. The stereo should be just fine-ish, I hope, this time around. And we have some good news, everyone. Sadhguru himself uploaded the PDF version of his books on the archive.org? Archive.org. So, yeah. If you want to read that thing yourself, it's just there. But let's continue, shall we? Let us deepen the exploration. If responsibility is responsibility, the capacity to be responsive to situations, let me ask you another question. Is your ability to respond limited or limitless? Are you capable of responding to a plant? You are. To a stranger on the street? You are. To the moon? You are. To the sun, to the stars? You are. To the whole cosmos? You are. In fact, as we have seen, every subatomic particle in your body is responding in a limitless way to the great dance of energies that is the cosmos. The only reason you are not experiencing the life process in all its majesty and profundity is your current state of mental resistance. Your psychological structure is a stone wall. If you are willing, every moment of your life can be a fantastic experience. Just the act of inhaling and exhaling can be a tremendous love affair. Why is the mind resisting this? Because it is crippled by its own limited logic, which says, taking responsibility for just 2 people already gives me a headache. If I take responsibility for the whole world, what will happen? I will crack up. Through millions of years of evolution, nature has caged you within certain boundaries. This is the human predicament. But this imprisonment is only on the level of biology. On the level of human consciousness, you are like a bird in a cage without a door. What a tragic irony! It is only out of long eons of habit that you are refusing to fly free. Life has left everything open for you. Existence has not blocked anything for anyone. If you are willing, you can access the whole universe. Someone said, knock and it shall open. You don't even have to knock because there is no door. It is open. You just have to walk through, that's all. This is the sole purpose of the spiritual process. The life and work of every spiritual guide across history and across culture has been just this, to point out that the cage door does not exist. Whether you fly or choose to remain in the limitations of the cage, let that be a conscious choice. The possibility of ultimate freedom may seem deeply threatening to many. Yes, it is a threat, but only to your limitations. Do you want to live a life of voluntary self-imprisonment? Let's try this positioning. Limiting your responsibility is to suffocate yourself on various levels, physically, intellectually, and emotionally. Unfortunately, this stifling of life is understood by people as safety, as security. Take the case of a seed. If the seed constantly tries to save itself, a new life is impossible. The seed goes through the tremendous struggle of losing what it believes is its identity, losing its safety and integrity and becoming vulnerable, in order to grow into a many-branched leafy tree, abundant in fruit and flower. But without that vulnerability, that voluntary openness to transformation, life won't sprout. One of the biggest problems in the world today is loneliness. It is quite incredible. The planet is teeming with 7 billion people, but people are lonely. If someone enjoys being alone, there is no problem at all, but most people are suffering because of it. They are going through serious psychological problems as a consequence. If you are lonely, it is because you have chosen to become an island unto yourself. It doesn't have to be this way. I am not responsible makes you unwilling to get along with anyone until you cannot even get along with yourself. It often comes to a point when you believe you are not even responsible for what is happening within yourself. What the mind forgets is that the ability to respond is the basis of life. If the ability is acknowledged willingly, you become blissful. If it happens unwillingly, you become miserable. Being responsible is taking ownership of your life. It means you have taken the first radical step to becoming a complete human being, fully conscious and fully human. In taking responsibility and beginning the journey toward conscious living, you are putting an end to the age-old patterns of assigning blame outward or heavenward. You have begun the greatest adventure life has to offer, the voyage inward. This notion of responsibility, as you might have noticed, seems to lead us seamlessly to another word, remarkably similar in its implications. A word we know well, perhaps much too well. A much used, much abused four-letter word. Love. You know the teachings, of course. All over the world, people have been told that love is the ultimate, love is supreme, love is divine, that we must love our neighbors, and so on. All wonderful teachings, but when you try to become loving, it is difficult and often ends up seeming pretentious. Have you noticed this? It seems easier to not love at all than to try to become loving. But to be loving is simply this, a willingness to respond freely and openly. Right now, it may be limited to one or two people in your lives, but it is possible to extend this ability to embrace the entire world. Does it mean going out into the streets and hugging everyone? No, that would be crazy, not to mention irresponsible. As we have said, responsibility is not about action, but a way of being. Love is not something you do, it is just the way you are. Right now, you have left one window in your life open for a few people. You did that because somewhere you understood that if you closed that window, you would go mad. Your only options would be insanity or suicide. But there is another way to approach this. Does it mean opening another window or opening a door? Here's a more effective option. Why don't you just demolish the wall? Love has nothing to do with someone else. It's all about you. It is a way of being. It essentially means you have brought sweetness into your emotion. If a loved one travels to another country, would you still be able to love them? You would. If a loved one passed away, would you still be able to love them? You would. Even if a loved one is not physically with you anymore, you are still capable of being loving. So what is love then? It is just your own quality. You are only using the other person as a key to open up what is already within you. Why are you fumbling with keys when there is no lock, when there is no door, when there is no wall? You create illusory walls and doors, and then create illusory keys. And then you fumble with the keys. And once you find the key, you are terrified of losing it. For most people, love is initially a joy, but after a while it becomes an anxiety. Why? Because this key has legs and a will of its own. You cannot keep it in your pocket or hang it around your neck. When you try to do that, two lives are heading straight for disaster. Once your joy is on self-start, rather than push-start, you have upgraded your technology. You are no longer enslaved to an external source, whether a person or a situation. You are now capable of being loving and blissful without doing anything in particular, just sitting here no matter how anyone in the outside world behaves. Once you experience this inner freedom, you will never experience insecurity in your life again. And anyway, when you are a truly blissful human being, everyone will naturally want to be around you. Blissfulness means life is happening in an exuberant manner, and that all life seeks. Oh, you can do bhakti yoga. So, how does one upgrade one's inner technology? We will look at this at length in the following chapters, but a fundamental step would be to recognize consciously just this. My ability to respond is limitless, but my ability to act is limited. I am 100% responsible for everything I am and everything I am not, for my capacities and my incapacities, for my joys and my miseries. I am the one who determines the nature of my experience in this life and beyond. I am the maker of my life. Absolutely nothing is required. No reaction, no action, no capability, other than being aware of the basic fact that your responsibility is limitless. You could sit in one place and be aware of it. You could walk the street and be aware of it. You could be working, cooking, or even lying in bed and be aware of it. Let me ask you another question. Whatever your religion or cultural background, what exactly do you mean when you use the word God? And the forms, the names, the ideas are varied. But essentially, when you say God, you mean that which is responsible for everything in the universe. Suppose God said, I will not be responsible for you. He is most definitely fired. The very word God signifies limitless responsibility. So a responsibility is not a teaching in civics. It is the simplest and easiest way for you to express your own divinity. The whole effort of the spiritual process is to break the boundaries you have drawn for yourself and experience the immensity that you are. The aim is to unshackle yourself from the limited identity you have forged as a result of your own ignorance and live the way the Creator made you, utterly blissful and infinitely responsible. After my experience on Chamundi Hill, one thing became clear to me. In life, there is no this and that. There is only this and this. This means everything is here and now. The access for everything is here and now, and it lies only in one's ability to respond, in one's ability to experience and express the divine. There is no yes and no. There is just yes and yes. The choice is yours. You can either react to life with yes and no, which will mean a perpetual division of this existence, which is the basis of repetitive cycles of conflict and misery. Or you can become one big yes to life. A limited responsibility is a way of drawing boundaries. What you think you are responsible for will be within your boundary. What you think you are not responsible for will be outside your boundary. But limitless responsibility extends itself way beyond your present level of understanding and perception. There is more, much more, to life than you are aware of right now. Once you choose to become conscious of this simple fact, my ability to respond is limitless. Suddenly, life within you reorganizes itself in a completely different way. You move into higher and higher levels of freedom within yourself. Life is now a wonderful and exhilarating journey of self-discovery. The outside world has seen its share of bloody revolutions. They were violent because there were some people who were willing to change and there were some who were unwilling. But in the inner life, there is only one kind of revolution, and it is a silent one. It is about moving from unwillingness to willingness. The question is, do you want to be a full-time human being or a part-time human being? If you restrict your ability to respond, the scope and dimension of your experience will be unsurprising, predictable, limited, narrow. But to be an absolutely full-time human being is to be a constant, full-blooded response to everything. You don't have to do anything in particular. You just need to become a willing piece of life in this glorious living cosmos. Responsibility is not burdensome. Boundaries are burdensome. If you draw yourself a boundary, whether of ideology, caste, creed, race, or religion, you cannot move beyond it, and you end up stuck for no reason at all. These boundaries only end up breeding fear, hatred, and anger. The bigger your boundary, the more burdensome it becomes. But if your responsibility is limitless, where's the boundary? No boundary, no burden. This is the turnaround in human consciousness that needs to take place. Once this happens, it is not that the cosmos begins to happen your way. Instead, what you are becomes cosmic. This is not transcendence. This is homecoming. Okay. We have an end of a big chapter. Chapter another. Sadhana. Don't simply believe what you are reading. The only way to find out whether something is true or untrue is to experiment with it. Stop the internal debate and simply put it to the test. The yogic path is not a path of inherited belief. It is the path of experiment. Here's a practical way to begin. When you have your next meal, do not talk to anyone around you for the first 15 minutes. Just be an active, conscious response to the food that you eat, the air that you breathe, the water that you drink. As I have said earlier, your entire system is responding anyway. Just become conscious of it. This apple, this carrot, this piece of bread. Don't take them lightly. If you do not eat for a couple of days, you won't think about God. You will only think about food. This is what is nourishing you and making your life right now. This is the very substance of your body. Respond to food absolutely with total attention. This fruit, this egg, this bread, this vegetable, they are all a part of life themselves, but they are willing to become you. Would you be willing to do this for anyone? You are not willing to lose your identity and merge into anyone. You are not even willing to surrender your little finger for someone else. Momentarily, you surrender just a little, usually when you need something. Your love affairs are the product of very calculated surrender, he says. Anyway. But food, which is a life unto itself, gives itself up completely to become a part of you. Later, without even uttering the sentence aloud, take the simple idea. My responsibility is limitless. If I am willing, I can respond to everything. Take the simple idea into the entire day. Be conscious of it until the last moment before you fall asleep, and remind yourself of it the first thing when you wake up. If you sustain this awareness of your limitless nature for just one full minute, you will achieve a tremendous transformation. A minute may seem very simple, but you will see it. It will take a certain level of application to arrive at this. Just 1 minute can elevate you to a different dimension of experience and function. Right now, your awareness is erratic. This moment you are aware, and the next moment you are gone. It is okay. Every hour, remind yourself. Experiment with this awareness. Allow it to deepen and see what happens. conscious response brings you to a profound and enduring state of connectedness with life. Yeah, you can call it life. Not as an idea or an emotion, but life as life is. In this willing, active involvement with life, you are embraced by it, and that embrace takes you to the very source of creation. That is all it takes to touch the Creator. Just willingness. Nothing else. That was the chapter that was called Sadhana. It is printed in a smaller print, and I'm expecting there'll be a couple more sadhanas appearing during the book. But anyway, with this looks like the perfect place to end the stream and experiment with this thought, this one little bit of teaching from Sadhguru. Everybody. What is and what is responsibility not? What it is and what it's not has been fuffed about in a previous, I believe, Let's Read Sadhguru streams, so that'll be there. Apologies, I've not started from the very beginning, but hey. Everything apparently, I'm assuming, all his books will be online for free on the archive.org. If you look up Sadhguru. So that's that. You can start with whichever you want. This is about the engineering. So with the blue guy on the thingy, on the cover, and a black-white photo of Sadhguru in the right bottom corner. So yeah, I will leave this on the computer here, and I do want to practice this. We might want to postpone the next stream after I somehow make a couple of steps in this part of his, because this is all completely new to me. I've just been given the big picture of what is life, what is the universe, according to the Himalayan scriptures, by the Guru. That's from the lineage. That's the link leading to the library on my Twitch page. And it started that way, and it continued the Bhakti Yoga pathway for me for quite a while. Then some elements from possibly others' teachings appeared by themselves like that in my life, and they were utterly, oh god. Anyway, yeah, wherever she wants to sit down, there becomes an altar. Anyway, yeah, so that was there, and yeah, perhaps not everything was from the right hand paths. You have very strictly, divided right hand path and left hand path, because left hand is used for what it is used for in the region around Himalayas that is following the Sanatana Dharma, or what other people call it, the Hinduism. But yeah, if you haven't heard the word, the blah blah blah, the name Sanatana Dharma, that's yeah, it means the natural order of things. I'm attempting to translate it the moment. the natural order of that. Om Tat Sat. I am that. Om Tat Sat. Om, I am that. Om. You might or might not believe that. It did and did happen in this house, and I'm thinking about whether it's reasonable to stream about it. Yeah. When you talk about mantras, there is Om. Aum. Then there's the mantras. It's like if you've seen the part in Futurama, where there's the fiction and non-fiction discs in the library. It's like that. One huge pile is Om, and then there's the mantras. It's not a huge pile of stuff, really. It's we can perceive it as sound or thought of sound, thought of a word. Om. I hope you are a fan of the Red Dwarf sitcom, because Om. It will be a hit, I swear. No, anyway, no windshield. Anyway, yeah. Apologies if the stereo did not turn out the way I wanted it. I have just tried recording this way from different directions in terms of orientation of the phone, because that is what's happening, and it's been kind of funny because I'm here. Whatever I did with this place since I came back, and then went away again, and then came back. At the beginning of this channel, the name for this room has been established. So we are finally once more somehow streaming from the sanctuary. So apologies, everybody. That's happening. Yeah. It's been this is been extremely interesting to me as a person who's technically still a yogi. Like, for example, my inner dialogue is not a thing anymore. That ceased to be, and it remained that way, even though the things that's been done to me and the things that's been taken away from me. I am not anymore feeling like I would be a yogi living in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, in the state of nirvana, the state of bliss that needs no seat, that needs no action, that would end up in the state of me being in bliss. So yeah, you can look it up. Samadhi that happens because you do something, and samadhi that is permanent. This is the ultimate goal of the yoga paths, and it's defined. Let's have a moment. Thank you, Sadhguru. Just for fun. For example, Yogapedia. Hey, Yogapedia is. If nothing else, it sounds interesting. So Yogapedia Cancel. Don't do that now. Wikipedia. Samadhi. Yogapedia Samadhi. And that is where all the yoga paths are supposed to lead if you're somehow new to this. Let's click Yogapedia. Samadhi. Thank you, Yogapedia. Is the 8th and final step on the path of yoga as defined by Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. If you don't know, however, there is many more texts. There's all Himalayas of texts all out there talking about all kinds of stuff. And then you have all the tantras. Anyway, the term is derived from several Sanskrit roots. Sam meaning together or completely, meaning toward, and dhi meaning put. Completely put toward completeness, I don't know. Direct translations. One has to be a fool to attempt to translate Sanskrit, but hey, word needs all kinds of fools, not just this one. Direct translations vary, and interpretations obviously range from bliss to liberation and even enlightenment. So, in Hinduism and Buddhism, I don't know what Jainists do exactly and what they call it, Samadhi is regarded as the pinnacle of all spiritual and intellectual activity, in addition to being a precondition for attaining samsara. Počkej. Samsara, here in Yogapedia, explained as release from the cycle of death and rebirth. Really? But anyway, in yoga, samadhi is considered to be the state in which individual and universal consciousness unite. It is a blissful form of total meditative absorption, reached once the practitioner has moved through the preliminary steps on Patanjali's Eightfold Path. The spiritual significance of samadhi is profound, since it encompasses self-realization and symbolizes the ultimate connection with the divine. Yogapedia explains samadhi. One of the most prominent ancient texts on yoga is Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, a series of 196 aphorisms written in Sanskrit around 400 AD. Patanjali describes yoga as an eightfold path consisting of 8 mind-body disciplines to be mastered. Working through these 8 limbs is believed to bring the practitioner to an enlightened state of consciousness known as samadhi, in which it is possible to experience the true self. The 8, so yeah, we have been reading Sadhguru's path, and this, for example, is the path as said by Patanjali for change. The 8 limbs of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are yamas, 5 social observances. Ahimsa, okay, non-violence. Satya, which is truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, chastity. And aparigraha, non-possessiveness. Limb number 2. Niyamas, 5 moral observances. Saucha, purity. Santosha, contentment. Tapas, self-discipline. Svadhyaya, self-study. Ishvara pranidhana, Devotion or surrender. Limb number 3, asana, yoga postures. Limb number 4, pranayama, breathing techniques as a means of controlling prana, vital life force energy. Limb number 5, pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. Limb number 6, dharana, concentration. Limb number 7, dhyana, meditation. Limb number 8, lo and behold, samadhi, enlightenment or bliss. These 8 limbs offer a systematic approach to calming the mind and finding liberation from suffering. The final 3 stages, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, are collectively referred to as samyama, okay, integration, since they are considered to be inextricably linked. As such, concentration practices are understood to be the path to truly meditative states, which ultimately leads to samadhi. By this definition, meditation is not a thinking or evaluative practice, but rather a state of complete absorption. Samadhi is said to be a blissful and calm state of mind in which the practitioner is no longer able to perceive the act of meditation or define any separate sense of self from it. In releasing the self from ego and the illusion of separation, samadhi is undisturbed by emotions such as desire and anger. As such, samadhi connects practitioners to their true self as one with universal consciousness. Yes, so limb number 2. Ishvara Paranidhana. Devotion or surrender. My teacher, the guy in the link, or somebody like that, somebody from that lineage, I think. If we are talking Hatha Yoga, if we are talking Hatha Yoga, we are talking a bicycle. On the path to liberation, you can walk. You can ride on a bicycle, which is Hatha Yoga. Or you can try Bhakti Yoga, which is a fucking Concorde jet plane. 2 streets from here, however, and that is true, there's a Hatha Yoga teacher who said that not for everybody. Definitely, Bhakti Yoga is definitely not for everybody. But yeah, if you consider that's what it is, dude, it's yoga in the form of a relationship. And one thing is that you can take it wherever you are allowed and can think of. And then there is that actually the other side of the relation, the one on the other side of the relationship can like respond and act as well. And like kurva yeah, anyway. If you are the legend, have been here at the beginning of this channel, apologies for the horrible sound levels. Rather often I would not be hearable over music or game or something. But hey, during them first 14 days or so, There was a unstoppable bhakti yogi, instead of this, we can call it a streamer. An unstoppable bhakti yogi, a constant, unending, unlimited torrent of ecstasy, bliss, and inspiration. It was not me playing Morrowind. It was the yoga. It was the other one. I was practicing bhakti yoga, the relationship kind. So it was the other one playing the game. Oh, that was kurva something. If you've not been here, apologies. I've been here. It's been incredible. Then that happened, bad things happened. Apparently, there's been reasons and stuff, and things happen for reasons and stuff. But hey, we don't have that kind of stuff running in the streamer anymore. That much, I don't think. But hey. Yeah, I've been through some very sad times recently, very sad times, and it definitely shows in how the place feels now. But yeah, we are in the room for once. That was declared a sanctuary. Anyway, yes. So that's been a little bit of Sadhguru, and it's been a little bit of fuffing on different paths of yoga. And then you have karma yoga, you walk around the world and commit vola good deeds, which is an excellent path, completely excellent path. And it feels completely ecstatic, vola, I like that. Anyway, then you have, I don't know, Raja Yoga. If you're interested, look it up. I am sitting in Yogapedia, but you there. Raja Yoga, please. Then you have Raja Yoga. Referring to the status of Raja Yoga as a royal path or principal form of yoga. Traditionally, Raja Yoga refers to both the goal of yoga and the method of attaining it. As such, it is also considered to be the state of peace and contentment that arises from sustained yoga and meditation practice. In a sense, Raja Yoga is the yoga of mind and body control, with a focus on meditation and energetics. It encompasses teachings from all the different paths, and it is from Raja Yoga that Hatha Yoga and modern asana practice developed. Since Raja Yoga involves all three dimensions of human existence, physical, mental, and spiritual, it enables practitioners to achieve balance and harmony on all of these levels. Oh my. And go figure, it is described further as Vivekananda, actually, in the 19th century text Raja Yoga, Swami Vivekananda equated Raja Yoga with the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. We've just been fuffing about the one with the 8 limbs. As such, Raja Yoga has since been used interchangeably with Ashtanga Yoga, translated as the Eightfold Path to unity. Still the same one? The biggest obstacle to self-realization, according to Raja Yoga, is a busy mind, in which excessive thinking, ego, craving, attachment, and a separate sense of self all contribute towards suffering. So yeah, reading Sadhguru's been interesting. It's completely unique. He doesn't bother with any of the classical yoga paths. He's just doing his own thing. Anyway. It's been Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. How about Jnana then? Then you have Jnana Yoga. 4 classical schools of yoga. Bhakti, Karma, Raja, and Jnana. So then you have Jnana Yoga. Sanskrit for knowledge or wisdom. Jnana is the intellectual path of scriptures and self-study, considered to be one of the most direct and yet challenging means of spiritual development. Really, the concept of Jnana Yoga was first described in the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Hindu text which focuses on liberation from suffering. Although Jnana Yoga involves the progressive study of the scriptures, it is not solely theoretical, encompassing the practical experiential knowledge which stems from meditation training. Yogapedia explains the Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is essentially a deep inquiry to the nature of the self. The intention when practicing Jnana Yoga is to use the mind to understand and uncover the truth behind the mind. Simply accepting dogmatic teaching is not enough according to Jnana Yoga, and as such, practitioners must seek an experiential knowledge of the divine, universal consciousness, or absolute truth, call it whatever. In this sense, Jnana Yoga moves beyond intellect and requires the mind to be both rational and open. Anyway, in addition to its roots in the Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Yoga is highlighted by the non-dualistic tradition of Advaita Vedanta philosophy. According to this school of thought, the knowledge acquired through meditation brings an understanding of one's self, aka Atman, as identical with ultimate reality, aka Brahman. Experiencing this is believed to dissolve the illusion. Experiencing this is believed to the unity, to dissolve the illusion of a separate sense of self, ultimately leading to liberation from suffering. Yoga, to be one with. Anyway, the path of Jnana Yoga was promulgated by Adi Shankaracharya, an Indian philosopher who consolidated the doctrine of Advaita Vedanta around 700 CE. His commentaries on Vedic texts such as the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita established Jnana Yoga as a prominent means of self-realization. He believed that Jnana yogis needed to engage in complete renunciation in order to be free from Maya, the illusion. There are 4 prescribed steps in Jnana Yoga known as Sadhana Chatushtaya, the 4 pillars of knowledge. These practices build upon one another in order to cultivate the spiritual insight required for this path. Okay, players of Morrowind, hold yourself. The first is called Viveka. It's the discernment or discrimination, a deliberate intellectual effort to distinguish between the real and the unreal. Vairagya, dispassion, detachment, cultivating non-attachment toward worldly possessions and the ego mind. Shat Sampat, 6 virtues, 6 mental practices to stabilize the mind and emotions. And Mumukshutva, longing, yearning, an intense and passionate desire for achieving liberation from suffering. After successfully practicing these 4 pillars, a practitioner is considered ready to begin the 3 core practices of Jnana Yoga, according to Upanishadic teachings. Shravana, hearing or experiencing Vedantic philosophy through a guru or spiritual teacher. thereby achieving a deep understanding of the concepts of Atman and Brahman and the philosophy of non-dualism. Manana, thinking and reflecting on the teachings of non-duality in an attempt to understand their subtleties. And Nidhi Dhyasana, constant and profound meditation, Brahman and the inner self in order to experience, there's the word missing, I guess, and the inner self in order to experience absolute truth. Constant and profound meditation on Brahman and the inner self, I guess. But yeah. It will be a break in one in the recording anyway, so you will not really notice. Otherwise, you would not really notice. In case me being a reasonable person and not saying a word about it and just pausing the thing. But hey, let's pause the thing. So that was me pausing the thing that happened. So everybody, thanks very much for everything. And if you try the sadhana, have fun. I've tried a little bit today. This stream recording happened yesterday. Apologies. Yeah, it's not really limited. One thing is, yeah, his definition of responsibility is quite something. However, the ability to relate to everything, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So, yeah, hope you've been enjoying the picture as well. That's also quite something. And I might try to spawn some possible other category in a second, but probably in a different stream, shouldn't we? So that's that. Thanks everybody very much for now. Bye.